We all love to make fun of Ashkenazi Jews for not eating kitniyot on Pessah. After all, the ban is only on 5 grains, and only if they've been leavened. Legumes, rice, and corn are absolutely kosher for Passover. But do you know that Ashkenazim are not the only ones who have weird traditions avoiding certain foods on the holiday? There's a story about when Persian Jews started moving from different cities to Tehran and marrying each other, and how they would get in fights because the bride and groom couldn't agree on which beans were unkosher for Pessah. According to an informal poll I took last year, most Persian Jews avoid chickpeas for the 8 days, and many avoid red kidney beans. In Mashhad, fresh peas were okay, but no beans. In Bukhara, no kitniyot were allowed except for rice. In Borujerd, only white beans were allowed. In Shiraz, only black-eyed peas. Gorma sabzi with black-eyed peas? Can you believe it? Jury's still out on whether we can eat lard-drenched refried beans or not. So where does this come from? None of these beans can possibly be leavened. The tradition not to eat chickpeas seems to come from an opinion of Yosef Chaim of Baghdad, who would avoid chickpeas because in Hebrew they're called hummus, which sounds like hames, or leavened. One little pun and we can't have gondi for a week. But what about the others? According to multiple informants, dried beans, or later canned beans, were generally avoided, but fresh beans were often permitted. What this suggests is that the ban wasn't on beans, but rather because in Iran, beans were bought from the baghal, often a non-Jew who sold beans in those large open-air baskets. Because during the drying process, or when they sat in those baskets, the beans could easily be contaminated by bread products. Same reason we would grind our own spices and roast our own nuts for Pessah. Same reason many Persian Jews avoid dairy on Pessah, because in Iran, dairy products were generally bought from non-Jews who don't follow the strict rules of the holiday. And they wonder why we're such an anxious people. Anyway, these are traditions. I'm not saying that anyone needs to follow them, but at least our weird bean thing isn't as weird as some Jews who not only avoid rice, but also avoid eating chicken because chickens eat rice. I hope you've been having a good Pesach. Let me know what your family does and where they're from. I have no data on lentils.